Hello, students. Today, we are going to talk about The Grass is Singing. This is a novel by Doris Lessing, a well-known writer. We will discuss everything you need to know about the book. We will start with the background, move on to a detailed summary, and finally, explore the themes. Pay attention, because this will help you in your exams. Background of The Grass is Singing. Doris Lessing was born in 1919 in Persia, which is now Iran. Later, her family moved to Southern Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe, in Africa. This is where much of The Grass is Singing is set. The book was published in 1950 and is considered a classic. Lessing's life in Africa influenced the story a lot. She saw how white settlers treated African workers unfairly. She also noticed the struggles of women in society. These experiences inspired her to write this novel. The title, The Grass is Singing, comes from a poem by T.S. Eliot. It refers to nature and human emotions, setting the tone for the book. The novel explores complex topics like race, class, gender, and the clash between people and the environment. It is important to understand the historical context. During the time the story is set, Africa was colonized by European countries. This means that white people controlled the land and the African people. This caused inequality and conflict, which are central to the story. Detailed summary of The Grass is Singing. The story begins with a newspaper article. It reports the murder of a white woman named Mary Turner on a farm in Southern Rhodesia. The article is short and gives no details, but it catches the reader's attention. From there, the story goes back in time to explain what happened. Mary Turner is the main character of the novel. She grew up in a poor white family in the city. Her childhood was not happy. Her parents often fought, and there was very little money. Mary dreamed of escaping her difficult life. When she grew up, she worked as a secretary and lived an independent life. She enjoyed being single and did not want to get married. One day, Mary overheard her friends making fun of her. They said it was strange that she was still single at her age. This upset Mary. She decided to get married, not because she wanted to, but because she felt pressured by society. She married a man named Dick Turner. Dick was a farmer who lived in the countryside. Mary did not love him, but she thought marriage would give her a better life. After getting married, Mary moved to Dick's farm. Life on the farm was very hard. Dick's farm was not successful. He did not make much money, and they struggled to survive. Mary hated living in the countryside. She missed the city and her old life. She also found farming boring and difficult. Mary and Dick began to argue a lot. Their marriage became unhappy. One of the main conflicts in the story is between Mary and the African workers on the farm. In Southern Rhodesia, white farmers like Dick hired African workers to do the labor. These workers were paid very little and treated poorly. Mary in particular was very harsh. She yelled at the workers and punished them for small mistakes. This created tension between Mary and the workers. Mary's treatment of the workers shows the racial inequality of the time. White people believed they were superior to Africans and used their power to control them. This is an important theme in the novel. Doris Lessing wanted to show how wrong and harmful this system was. One day, Dick became very sick. He could not manage the farm on his own, so he hired a new worker named Moses. Moses was different from the other workers. He was strong, intelligent, and confident. At first, Mary treated Moses very badly, just like the other workers. However, over time, her feelings began to change. She became afraid of Moses but also felt a strange connection to him. This made her uncomfortable because it went against the racial rules of society. As Mary's relationship with Moses became more complicated, her mental health started to decline. She became paranoid and isolated. She felt trapped on the farm and in her marriage. She could not see a way out of her situation. Her behavior became more erratic, and she started to lose control of her life. In the end, the story comes back to the beginning. Moses murders Mary. The reasons for his actions are not entirely clear, but it is implied that the tension between them had reached a breaking point. The novel ends on a tragic note, showing how the social and racial systems of the time led to destruction for both Mary and Moses. If you have read the novel The Grass is Singing, can you tell exactly why Moses murdered Mary? Themes of The Grass is Singing. Now let us discuss the themes of the novel The Grass is Singing. Themes are the big ideas or messages that the writer wants to communicate. Understanding the themes will help you analyze the book and answer questions in your exams. Racism and inequality. The novel shows how racism and inequality affect people's lives. In Southern Rhodesia, white people had power and wealth, while African people were treated unfairly. Mary and Dick's farm relied on the labor of African workers, but these workers were paid very little and had no rights. The relationship between Mary and Moses highlights the tensions caused by this system. Lessing shows that racism harms everyone, not just the oppressed, but also the oppressors. Gender roles and women's struggles. Another theme in the novel The Grass is Singing is the role of women in society. Mary's life shows how women were expected to behave. Society pressured her to get married, even though she was happy being single. After marriage, she was expected to support her husband and accept her role on the farm. Mary's unhappiness shows how limiting these expectations were. Lessing criticizes a society that does not allow women to make their own choices. Isolation and loneliness. Mary's life on the farm is very lonely. She has no close friends or family to support her. She does not feel close to her husband, and her relationship with the workers is full of tension. This isolation affects her mental health and contributes to her downfall. Lessing shows how loneliness can be dangerous and destructive. Power and control. Power and control are important themes in the novel The Grass is Singing. The white characters have power over the African workers, but this power is fragile. Mary tries to control the workers through fear and punishment, but this only creates more tension. Dick tries to control the farm, but he cannot succeed because of bad luck and poor decisions. The novel shows that trying to control others often leads to failure and conflict. The clash between nature and humans. The farm is a symbol of the struggle between humans and nature. Dick tries to make the land produce crops, but he is constantly fighting against drought, pests, and other problems. This struggle represents the larger conflict between people and the environment. Lessing suggests that humans cannot control nature and must learn to live in harmony with it. Conclusion. The Grass is Singing is a powerful novel that explores important issues like racism, gender roles, and isolation. Doris Lessing uses the story of Mary Turner to show how these issues affect individuals and society. By understanding the background, summary, and themes, you will be well prepared to analyze the book and answer questions in your exams. Remember to think about how the historical context influences the characters and events in the story. Thank you for watching. I hope this explanation has made the novel clear for you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Good luck with your studies.